Hi everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder if your brain can learn things without you even knowing it, and if that hidden learning can still change how you act? Well, today we're diving deep into just that question. This is a really interesting study that looks at how our brains learn and make decisions, especially when we're not consciously aware of what we're learning. Imagine your brain is like a super smart detective, constantly gathering clues and figuring things out, even when you are not paying attention. That is the core idea here. So, what did these researchers want to find out? Basically, they wanted to know if something called instrumental conditioning can happen, even when we're not consciously aware of the rules. Instrumental conditioning is a fancy way of saying learning to do things that get you rewards and avoid things that cause trouble. Think about training a pet, or even how you learned that touching a hot stove is a bad idea. Your brain learns that a certain action leads to a certain outcome. Now, some recent studies have suggested that you need to be aware of something to learn to act on it. If you can't see it or consciously process it, then it seems like you can't learn to either go for it or avoid it. Think of it like this: if you can't see a cookie jar, you probably can't learn to reach for it when you are hungry. But the researchers in this study had a different idea. They figured, what if the learning isn't about seeing something super quickly, but about noticing patterns that are really complicated? Like patterns that are so tricky you don't even realize you are learning them. They use something called an artificial grammar learning task. So here is how they set up their experiment. Imagine you are shown a bunch of letter strings, like words made up by a secret language. These strings follow certain hidden rules, like a secret code. You are shown strings from two different languages or grammars. Unbeknownst to you, one of these grammars is linked to good things, like winning money or seeing happy pictures. The other grammar is linked to bad things, like losing money or seeing sad pictures. Your job is to either press a go button to get something or a no-go button to avoid something. To do well, you need to figure out which grammar is which and then make the right choice. If you press go for the good grammar, you get rewarded. If you press go for the bad grammar, you lose something. If you press no go, nothing happens. So, smartly, you'd want to press go for the good stuff and no go for the bad stuff. The really cool part is that they also asked participants how they made their decisions. Did they just guess? Did they have an intuition? Did they feel like they remembered something? Or did they consciously know the rule? They used these awareness questionnaires after each decision. They split the experiment into a few parts to try and isolate different kinds of learning. First, there was a grammar learning phase where people just saw strings from the grammars without any rewards or punishments. This was designed to get them to pick up on the underlying patterns without them realizing it. Then came the instrumental conditioning phase where they had to make the go or no-go decisions and get feedback on wins and losses. Here, the strings were shown for a short time to make it harder to consciously figure out the rules on the spot, to really test if unconscious knowledge stuck around. They also had a delayed instrumental responding phase about 2 weeks later, where participants did the same task again, but without immediate feedback on each trial. This delay was meant to make explicit conscious learning fade away, leaving the unconscious learning more prominent. So, what did they find? This is where it gets fascinating. They discovered that participants did learn to act based on these hidden grammar rules, and they did it even when they consciously knew the rules. That is pretty standard. But here is the kicker: they also performed better than chance when they didn't consciously know the rules but had a feeling or intuition about which grammar was which. This is what they call conscious judgment knowledge based on unconscious structural knowledge. It's like your gut feeling is guiding you based on something your brain learned in the background. However, there was a big caveat. When participants honestly reported they were just guessing with no knowledge or feeling whatsoever, their performance was basically at chance level. They couldn't reliably tell the reward from the punishment grammar. This suggests that while your brain can learn complex patterns unconsciously, and these patterns can influence your actions, it seems to work best when that unconscious learning gives rise to some kind of conscious feeling or judgment, even if you can't pinpoint the exact reason for it. It is not just about the unconscious knowledge existing, but about it nudging you in the right direction consciously. What does all this mean? It challenges the idea that you absolutely need conscious awareness of something to learn to act on it. Previous studies using very brief subliminal flashes of stimuli suggested you couldn't learn instrumentally without awareness. But this study shows that when learning complex patterns, unconscious knowledge can support instrumental conditioning. However, it's not a free-for-all for the unconscious mind. The real adaptive behavior, the smart choices that actually led to more rewards and fewer losses, happened when the unconscious learning translated into some form of conscious judgment. This could be a feeling of familiarity and intuition, or a sense that a particular string felt rewarding or punishing. When it was pure guessing, the behavior was essentially random. Think of it like this. Your unconscious mind might be a master architect building complex structures of knowledge. But for that knowledge to be useful in deciding whether to approach or avoid something, it needs to send a signal to the conscious mind, even if that signal is just a vague feeling. This suggests a collaboration between the unconscious and conscious mind. The unconscious learns, and then it signals to the conscious mind, hey, this feels right, or this feels wrong, allowing you to make a more informed decision. Now, every study has its limitations. The researchers are upfront that their study doesn't definitively prove instrumental conditioning can happen with absolutely zero conscious input. The guessing category, where they saw no clear learning, is a key area that future research could explore further. Also, the way they measured awareness relies on people accurately reporting their own internal states, which can be tricky. But the big takeaway is pretty profound. It suggests that while we might not always be aware of the intricate rules our brains pick up, this hidden knowledge can still shape our actions, especially when it surfaces as conscious feelings or intuitions. It's a reminder that our minds are incredibly complex and much of what drives us happens beneath the surface, working hand in hand with our conscious awareness. So, the next time you have a hunch or a gut feeling about something, remember it might be your brain pulling from a vast complex library of unconsciously acquired knowledge. What are your thoughts on this? Does this resonate with your own experiences? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this dive into the unconscious mind as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button, subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab for more brainy insights, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration. Thanks for watching.